PowerPoint for BIM, Lesson 4. Things to know. KISS principle, conversational narrative. The KISS principle. Keep it simple, silly. According to Ellen Finkelstein, you do not want to add too much stuff. You need to keep your slides clean and understandable for your audience. This is an example of too much text. You want to place very little text on your slides so your audience can focus on you and what you're saying instead of trying to read your slide like you may be attempting to do right now. In fact, you may find it very difficult to listen to me speak, or you are torn as to whether to listen to me or whether to read the slide. A better way to present the same information would be to break it up into several slides. This is an example of slide 1 in the cell phones presentation. While looking at this slide, your mind is more at ease. It is easier to listen to me deliver my speech because you're not as distracted. There's a catchy title on this slide that gives the audience an idea of what the speaker will speak about. The audience will not be torn between reading the slide and listening to the speaker. Also, notice there is only one picture on this slide. Too many pictures can be distracting. Let's look at an example. When looking at this slide, there are more pictures, but they are smaller, more difficult to see, and the slide is busier. According to Ellen Finkelstein, pictures should go by the 3-slide rule. It is best to place one image on the slide and have it touch at least 3 sides of the slide. Now that we have looked at examples of how to use pictures and text properly, let's look at fonts, underlining, and bold. In presentations, use underlining and bold sparingly. Certain situations that it is okay to use either bold or underline would be if you are defining a word and you want to use bold or underline on the key term. You could bold titles, but I would not recommend underlining. Use these with caution because they can be distracting. Fonts should be chosen carefully for presentations as well. Think of your audience, your topic, and the readability of the font. Please look at the title of this slide. Cell phones is bolded and underlined. While the topic of our sample presentation is cell phones, there is no definition on this slide, so there's no reason for the author to bold it or underline it. There seems to be no other reason why cell phones would need to be bolded or underlined either. Also, look at the font. It is a type of handwriting font mixed with cursive. Some audience members may not have been taught cursive and therefore would not be able to read all or part of this title. When choosing fonts, choose basic, easy to read fonts. Now let's look at 2 more overused parts of presentations. We will look at a slide we used earlier. Shapes have their place in some presentations. However, unless you are creating separation on the slide or need to show your audience an actual shape, most shapes need to be kept at bay. Let's look at an example. As you have seen on this slide, the shapes are distracting rather than helpful. Also, the animations can be very distracting. On this slide, each picture was animated differently and came onto the slide individually. If at all possible, you need to avoid that. If animations need to be present, make them subtle and try to have all information appear at one time. Let's look at the next slide to see how we could change this. Notice that the speaker wanted to create separation between the title and the rest of the slide. This was achieved with a shape. With one click, a subtle animation was used for all of the pictures to fade in. While it is best to not use animations because they can be a distraction, sometimes there is something on the slide the speaker needs to temporarily hide from the audience, and this can be achieved by using an animation. Now we'll begin the section covering conversational narrative. Most people feel like they are wasting their time listening to a presentation in which the speaker merely reads the slides. Typically, if there is that much text, the audience is reading the slides instead of listening and no learning is occurring. When there is little text and a photo, the audience can connect with the speaker and speak conversationally with their audience. When making your presentation, make sure you smile and make eye contact with your audience. Making eye contact will make your audience feel like more of a part of the presentation. That also means you won't be looking at the floor or the ceiling, which could be signs of being unprepared. Also, smile during your presentation. Even if you're recording it, people can hear your smile. According to Lisa Marshall, filler words can affect the audience negatively. Filler words are words such as like, you know, uh, actually, basically, and right. Ms. Marshall calls these words credibility killers. You want to avoid saying these and other filler words. It may seem like a difficult task, but practice in your everyday life and practice your presentation filler-free, and you will be on your way to speaking without fillers. In Lesson 4, we covered the KISS principle and conversational narrative. This is the conclusion of Lesson 4. Thank you for watching.